Hello, this is Frank Alexander with Alexander Heating and Air. Visit us at www.alexhvac.com. Our number is 919-886-4822. Today I'm going to show you how to check a capacitor on your compressor to tell whether it's good or bad. Today we're going to learn about checking the capacitor. First, as you open the cabinet, but make sure you have disconnected all your power at the disconnect by pulling the disconnect from your unit or flipping the breaker switch. So once you pull the electrical panel off, the outdoor condensing unit, you'll see the capacitor usually strapped in, and on top of it will have 4 leads connected to 3 plugs or terminals. There are different shapes. Each one has different attachments to it. You'll have the Herm, you'll have the fan, and you'll have the common. Now, common typically has 4 prongs. Your Herm typically has 3, and your fan typically has 1. Now on the capacitor, it will also have printed on the side typically a rating, such as 40, 5, and plus or minus 5%. Now what that means is from the common to the Herm, there's 40 microfarads, and from the common to the fan, there's 5 microfarads. Now that you've disconnected the power and pulled the panel off, take a screwdriver and run it from your common to your Herm to discharge the Herm capacitor. And then take your screwdriver and run it from your common to your fan and discharge the fan capacitor. This can give you an awful shock if you do this without discharging the capacitor. Now you can unplug the wires from the capacitor. Then you will take your meter and you'll run a lead from your common and a lead from your Herm, and you'll get a reading. What you're expecting is what's written on the side, say 40 microfarads. But in reality, it can run plus or minus 5%. In most cases, with a 40 microfarad, that runs from 38 to 42. So if your reading is anywhere between 38 and 42, the capacitor is good. Now for the fan, we're looking for 5 microfarads. And the 5% plus or minus is actually 5.25 microfarads or 4.75 on the low end. Now, if your capacitor is outside these boundaries, the capacitor is bad. There are some other things to look for typically in the physical characteristics of the capacitor that can tell it might be going bad, such as bulging or burnt leads. Now, let's take a look at a real one. Now that we've shown you how to check for one, this is what a typical capacitor looks like. You'll notice the 4 prongs here on the common, there's 3 here on the Herm, and 2 here on the fan. And in this case, this capacitor is rated at 40 and 5 microfarads plus or minus 5%, like we discussed. So, in order to test it, we will use our field piece meter, and here is my trusty field piece SC77. Now we're going to turn this to microfarads and get the reading off of it. It's starting at 0. So now we take the leads and we'll touch 1 to the common and 1 to the Herm. It registers an open line, and finally 40 microfarads or 40.1. See if I can get that light on there so you can see. 40.1. Now we check it across the fan and it comes up 4.85. Now that's within spec. Plus or minus 5% on a 5 is 4.75. So this fan is in spec. The capacitor is good. We can put it back in the compressor and it's good to go. So that's it for checking a capacitor. This is Frank Alexander with Alexander Heating and Air. I hope you have a pleasant day.